Everybody is theorizing about how The Boys Season 5 is going to end. There are countless theories being thrown around right now. Like, who will be the one to kill Homelander? Or could Homelander actually win it all? And some people think that Soldier Boy is going to get some last minute redemption arc, which would honestly be pretty cool. But I want to talk about an ending that I feel like nobody is really paying attention to. Because what if the ending of The Boys does not just come down to Homelander's final arc? What if the ending of the entire show comes down to the one character who started this whole story from the first place? Hughie Campbell. And I know that might sound pretty weird at first because when people think about the most important characters in The Boys, Hughie is not always the first name that comes up. Most people talk about Homelander because, he is the face of the show, or people talk about Butcher because he basically is the leader of The Boys. But when you really go back to the beginning, the entire show starts with Hughie Campbell. From the very first episode, the first real human perspective we get in this world is Hughie Campbell. He is just a regular guy working a regular job, living a regular life, trying to be happy with his girlfriend Robin. And then in 1 second, literally in a snap, that entire life gets destroyed when A-Train runs straight through her. That is the moment that pulls Hughie into this world of killing Supes, and through Hughie, we also get pulled into it as well. We start to learn that Supes really aren't what they say they are, and how corrupt Vought actually is. And Hughie is basically the audience surrogate at the start of the show, and because of that, his journey feels the most human. But that is exactly why Hughie surviving the ending would make just so much sense, because The Boys has always been about what power does to people. Homelander is the most obvious example of that, but he is not the only one. Butcher has also been corrupted by his obsession with trying to kill Homelander, that he will do absolutely anything in his power to kill Homelander, if that means he will sacrifice every single one around him. And yet Hughie is one of the few characters who has been through hell and still somehow stayed himself. He's never changed. That is what makes Hughie different from almost everyone else in the show. He has had every reason to become bitter, and of course everybody in The Boys has a reason to become bitter as well. All these Supes have basically gave them a reason to hunt Supes in the first place. Because when you look at The Boys as a team, everybody has been pushed to their breaking point. Mother's Milk, for example, has always been one of the most moral people in the group, and he's also very hard to break. But even he has moments where you can tell he is just simply tired of it all, especially in Season 5, Episode 5, when he admits that he has doubts about still pursuing this fight. And Soldier Boy. He tells Butcher that if Soldier Boy actually can't die to the soup-killing virus, what makes you think we can even kill any of them at all, including Homelander? So I just don't feel like I want to fight this fight anymore if it's not even worth it in the long run. And can you blame him? This fight against Vought and Homelander has taken everything from these people. It has damaged their families, their minds, and most importantly, their souls. has every reason to wonder if it's even worth it anymore at this point. So my prediction is, instead of Butcher killing the boys like he did in the comics, I think the show will have the boys go out one by one during the final fight, but their deaths will still have to make sense for who they are as characters. For example, Frenchie should go out through sacrifice. He has always been the type of person to throw himself into danger first if it means saving the people he loves. So even though Kimiko and Frenchie are broken up, I could still see Frenchie sacrificing himself for her in the final battle. Then Kimiko would be next, because after watching Frenchie die to save her, I don't think she would be able to handle that survivor's guilt. She would completely lose control, go all out, and run in guns blazing towards Homelander. But even though Kimiko is strong, her powers are nothing compared to Homelander's, so she would probably get humbled pretty fast. Then that leaves Butcher, and Hughie as the last one standing. And maybe they do actually win. Maybe they finally defeat Homelander, but the victory comes at such a massive cost that it doesn't even feel like a win anymore. So many people are dead, the boys are broken, and Butcher, instead of stopping, gets even worse. Because once Homelander is gone, Butcher could become too cocky. He could convince himself that he was right the entire time. And now that he finally killed the strongest soup, he starts going after anyone with V in their blood. Not just dangerous soups, but anyone. And that's when Hughie realizes that Butcher has become the very thing they were trying to stop. And in the end, Hughie is going to be the one who finally puts him down. And let's not forget, Hughie is also the reason Butcher even got the boys back together in the first place. When Butcher finds Hughie, Hughie is broken, but in a weird way, Hughie also reminds Butcher of what this fight is supposed to be about. He knew that Hughie didn't even take a check from Vought, and right then he knew he had to get the boys back in town. And that brings me to the comic book ending, because this is where things get really interesting. Now, of course, I already know the show is not exactly like the comics. The show has changed a lot. There is no Black Noir Homelander clone twist in the show like there is in the comics, although I thought in season 5 that could be a possible theory when Black Noir didn't talk for the first, I think it was 2 episodes or first 3 episodes, but then he randomly just started talking, so it kind of sucks that that theory is not true. I am not saying the show is going to copy the comics one for one, but what I am saying is Hughie's character in the show still feels like he is spiritually connected to comic Hughie. Also in the comics, Hughie is one of the only people who actually survives at the end. And not only does he survive, but he also is the one who kills Butcher after Butcher goes on a complete rampage, killing everyone with Compound V in their bloodstream. That is such an important detail because it shows what Hughie represents. That he is obviously not the strongest. I mean, look at him compared to Butcher. But when the story reaches its darkest point, Hughie is the one who has to make the impossible choice. And even though he knows that Butcher is still stronger than him, he goes after Butcher anyways because he knows what Butcher is doing is wrong. And in the show right now, what Butcher is doing currently, he is really doing anything in his power just to kill Homelander. And in the show, he basically already hints that he wants to kill everybody with V in their bloodstream. But after all of that is said and done in the comics, Hughie ends up getting a life with Starlight, a deserved happy ending after everything he's been through. And honestly, I could see the show doing something similar. Not exactly the same, but something close to it emotionally. I could see Butcher becoming so obsessed with killing Homelander and wiping out Soups that Hughie eventually has to stand against him. Maybe not because Hughie hates him, but because Hughie loves him enough to know he has gone too far. That would be heartbreaking, but it would also be perfect for their relationship. Because Hughie and Butcher have always had this strange father-son, older brother, younger brother type dynamic. Butcher uses Hughie, manipulates him, and then drags him into danger, kind of like he does with every other character. But deep down, Butcher also cares about him, and Hughie, no matter how many times Butcher hurts him, still sees the good in him. And the comic ending was beautiful. Butcher knew that after everything he had done, especially after turning on and killing his own friends, he was going to spend the rest of his life in prison. So when Butcher takes that fall and breaks his neck, Hughie manages to win the fight. And Butcher does the only thing he has left. He baits Hughie into killing him by lying and saying he killed his parents. That moment says everything about both of them. Butcher, even at the end, is still selfish. He would rather manipulate Hughie into giving him the death he wants than face the consequences of what he did. And Hughie, after everything he went through, was the only one who actually deserved a happy ending. He was the heart of the story, and unlike Butcher, he never fully lost himself.